Hello everyone and welcome to Be Born Reddit.
My 25 female husband 29 male called me by his dead wife's name twice. I need to rant. For a bit of a background, I'd met my husband 4 years ago through the same work industry. We both instantly felt the same attraction. On our first date, he told me he was widowed, that his wife had died unexpectedly at the age of 31, 2 years prior. 3 years later, we got married at the beginning of this year. Everything has been good until 2 months after we got married. I noticed that his behavior was changing. He started to get more quiet. I've asked him if he was feeling alright. He admitted that while cleaning, he came across some of his previous wife's belongings and that he accidentally tossed something from their wedding night. I felt sad for him and I couldn't imagine how he felt. I tried my best to cheer him up, but his happiness was short. One night we got into a small disagreement about some movie we were watching. During the argument, he called me by her name, which is something that he had never done. He looked frightened and shocked that he said this. He kept apologizing after it, and I told him it was alright. He cried and I held him. The next morning, I noticed he didn't sleep at all. I asked him if he wanted to talk about what happened the previous night. He got mad and told me he was gonna go visit his brother. I felt worried and told him I love him. He came home around midnight and he apologized for what happened and how he reacted. I told him everything was fine. A few weeks ago in bed, while he was finishing, he called me by her name again. This time I was mortified, jumped off the bed and moved away from him. He tried to comfort me by giving me a hug and he kept apologizing. I told him I was going to stay in our guest room. I didn't sleep at all that night. Next morning, he kept apologizing and I told him it's fine. We talked for a bit. I asked him if he was alright and if he needed to speak to someone professionally. He agreed to go speak to someone, but he didn't show up to the appointment that we had set up for him. Our conversations since then have been insanely short. Everything has been weird since he called me her name during intimacy. He rarely speaks to me, only when he needs something, which makes me sad because I do love him, but I'm scared that he doesn't love me. Now I recently found out I'm pregnant. I'm happy because I've always wanted to be a mother, but I'm sad I don't know if the father of my child even loves me anymore. Now for the comments. Someone comments, she's been on his mind since he found the items that belonged to her. Add to this the fact that he accidentally threw away a keepsake from their wedding, and it's no wonder that he slipped up. Cut him a break. It was obviously a shock to him when he found the items. If he continues to do it, then I would suggest therapy for him. Did he ever do grief counseling? OP replies, that's what I think. He's just found some new grief and unresolved feelings. He did do grief counseling for a while, but he stopped. When we first started dating, I knew he was in therapy, and maybe a year into our dating, he stopped going. Update. First of all, I'd like to say sorry to everyone that I had annoyed with the overusage of the word fine, lol. I was afraid to admit that everything had been rough in my marriage recently, or I didn't give off the impression that I had any sort of ill feelings towards her. Thank you to everyone that congratulated me on my pregnancy too. After a day of things being strange and weird between us, he told me he was sorry for his behavior and things have been rough for him lately, that grief is tricky. I encouraged him that he should seek therapy for himself, especially grief counseling. I said I was sorry if I made him feel embarrassed or bad for the new incident. He did attend a session for himself and agreed to go. I have always been going to therapy and counseling. I did tell my husband that I was pregnant. He is very happy about it. We both are and excited for the arrival of our firstborn. After hearing the news, he has been trying his hardest, taking care of me and himself. Seeing him this happy took every negative thought and feeling about the future away. Anyway, thanks for the words and encouragement. Bye everyone.
That was the end of the video. Comment down below to share what you thought. Press like and subscribe and click the notification bell for more regular updates. Thank you for watching.